Many people have asked the same question. Why weren't certain prominent leaders named in Cindy Clemishire's civil lawsuit? Cindy has accused Robert Morris of sexually abusing her beginning when she was 12 years old and continuing for nearly 5 years. Her lawsuit names 13 defendants, including Gateway Church, Robert Morris, Deborah Morris, several current and former Gateway elders, former communications director Lawrence Swicegood, and Robert Morris Evangelistic Association Incorporated, the organization tied to Morris's speaking and publishing platform. But the names that keep coming up with questions? Those are Tom Lane, Jimmy Evans, Brady Boyd, and Olen Griffing. Those are noticeably absent. So why aren't these men included? That's what I'm going to look at in this video. I'll walk through the facts and offer possible answers based on what's actually in the lawsuit. Let's look at establishing intent. Let me be clear, though, from the very start. I don't know the specific legal strategy behind Cindy Clemishire's lawsuit. There could be many reasons why certain individuals aren't named. This video isn't about judging her legal team. It's about accountability, understanding the scope of the alleged cover-up, and as mentioned, providing possible reasons why certain individuals weren't named in Cindy's lawsuit. What the lawsuit is and what it isn't. This lawsuit is a watershed moment, bringing decades of hidden pain into the light. As mentioned, it names 13 defendants and paints a devastating picture of a coordinated institutional cover-up. But here's the twist. One of the most damning revelations didn't come from Cindy. It came from Robert Morris himself. In a separate legal dispute between Morris and Gateway Church, Morris released a trove of internal church emails. These documents, perhaps meant to defend himself, did just the opposite. They revealed that a wide circle of senior church leaders knew about the abuse, and that they had known for years. The emails indicate that leaders were told Cindy was just 12 years old when the abuse began. This was not a, quote, affair. It was child sexual abuse. Make no mistake. And yet, many of the men allegedly included in those communications aren't defendants in her lawsuit. According to the emails, Tom Lane, a former executive pastor and former elder, Jimmy Evans, former apostolic elder, Brady Boyd, former associate senior pastor and former elder, Olen Griffing, former pastor at Shady Grove, where Morris first confessed, and former apostolic elder at Gateway Church. They were all part of an inner circle of knowledge. The documents suggest this wasn't forgotten history. It was a story that they actively managed, reaffirmed, sanitized, and passed along. One especially disturbing email is dated August 29th, 2007. It recaps a private elder meeting where Morris shared his, quote, restoration story. Tom Lane stated in the email, quote, to Galen, George, and by the way, this is the quiet George Grubbs that we haven't heard from yet, Brady, and Dave. Since you all were unable to attend the special called elder meeting last night, I am writing to give you a report. In attendance were Shelby, Jimmy Evans, Olen Griffing, Robert, Steve, Kevin, and me. We discussed the past events involving Robert and Cindy Clemishire. Robert retold his account of the things that took place leading up to 1987 and the process of repentance and restoration he walked through from 1987 to 1989. Olen was the pastor that oversaw this process, and he confirmed and corroborated Robert's account of the events, unquote. The year is 2007, 20 years after the abuse. The email shows how leaders were formally brought into the loop, not to hold Morris accountable, oh no, but to co-sign his version of events. And yet Lane, Evans, Boyd, and Griffing, despite being involved in this documented circle, are not defendants. So why weren't they named? That's a fair question. But here's the key. This lawsuit isn't a sweeping moral judgment. It's a targeted legal case. And it's built on two very specific claims: defamation and unjust enrichment. Claim 1, defamation. The defamation claim focuses on statements made in 2024 and 2025. According to the lawsuit, Cindy was referred to as a, quote, young lady, instead of the 12-year-old child that she was. Her abuse was described as a, quote, affair, with suggestions she seduced Morris. That's right, she seduced him. That's the claim they made. Church leaders claim she forgave him and that everything was resolved decades ago. These statements, the lawsuit alleges, were false, made with malice, and caused deep emotional and reputational harm. And here is why that matters. Only those directly involved in writing, approving, or publishing those recent statements were named. Tom Lane, Jimmy Evans, Brady Boyd, and Olen Griffing were not in active leadership at Gateway when those statements were made. That's likely a key reason they were excluded. Claim number 2, unjust enrichment. This part says Morris and Gateway benefited financially and reputationally by keeping the abuse hidden. While Cindy's story remained buried, Morris built a religious empire. He published books, he spoke at conferences, Gateway grew in size and status. All while portraying the abuse as a generic, quote, moral failure, instead of the criminal abuse of a child. According to the lawsuit, this false narrative helped generate donations, expand influence, and create wealth, both for the church and for Morris and his wife Debbie. Again, the lawsuit targets those who materially benefited. Let's look at legal versus moral accountability. This lawsuit is a surgical legal instrument, not a comprehensive moral inventory. But thanks to the very documents that Morris released, the moral record is now public. We know who knew, when they knew, and what they did. Or more importantly, what they didn't do. And while their names may not be on court filings, they're now a permanent part of the public record. So let me wind this up. The story of Cindy Clemishire isn't just about one man. It's about a system. A culture of celebrity, control, and silence that chose image over truth and platform over people. The men I've talked about today shaped entire ministries. They led churches, authored books, and influenced thousands. But for decades, they also kept a secret. Cindy's lawsuit is finally forcing Gateway and others to answer. But for real change to happen, the individuals who enabled the silence, whether legally liable or not, must also be called to account. I appreciate you watching this. It is a difficult conversation, but it's a necessary one. And if you've made it this far, you care about truth and justice. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, respectfully, please. And if you think these conversations matter, share this video. Let's keep this truth alive and the conversation going. And please, hit that subscribe button and give it a thumbs up. YouTube uses those algorithms to send people to these videos. We all have to do our part, and that is how you can do yours. Subscribe and thumbs up.